Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to All Praise Picks. Today we're looking at the MLB. We have the Philadelphia Phillies playing against the Detroit Tigers in Detroit on June 24th, 2024. Currently, the Phillies are 51 and 26, which is first place in the NL East, and the Tigers are 36 and 41, which is fourth place in the AL Central. So record-wise, the Phillies are a better team, and I think that they have an advantage in this game, especially with the starting pitcher matchup. So I got two parlays for you guys, both on BetMGM. As always, I'll break down the lines, give you my thoughts, and hopefully if you tap in, we can all win. So here's the first parlay at plus 120. It's a 5-leg parlay. And as I mentioned before, I do think that Aaron Nola will have a better game overall than Casey Mize, who's the starting pitcher for the Tigers. Nola in his starts for the Phillies is 8-3 with a 3.54 ERA and a 3.67 expected ERA, and his WHIP is at 1.06. In comparison, Casey Mize, who's the starting pitcher for the Tigers, is 1-5 in his starts with a 4.44 ERA and a 4.5 expected ERA, and his WHIP is at 1.45. So I just think that statistically, Aaron Nola plays much better, and when you look into his K percentage and hits per nine, his K percentage or strikeout percentage is 22.5% versus Mize's 15.1%. And his hits per nine is for Nola is 7.2 versus Mize's at 10.6. So essentially, Nola is striking out more batters more often and is giving up less hits per 9 innings. And I think because of that, he'll give up fewer bases, which is the first line of this parlay. Overall, in his starts versus Detroit, Nola has gone under 2 ERA in 2 out of the 3 games, and Detroit is a bottom 10 team at home in terms of hitting and runs this season. So I think that Nola should have a pretty good game overall in this game, and I also think that the Phillies should be able to score on Casey Mize as well as the Tigers bullpen. So I have the Phillies going over 2 runs in this game, and the Tigers going under 6.5 runs or under 7 runs for the game. I also think that because the Phillies have been a much better team in terms of hitting on the road than Detroit has really been at home, I think in the first 5 innings, Phillies should be able to cover a 1.5 run line spread, essentially not to lose the first 5 innings by more than 2 runs. And I also took them on the money line in this game to essentially win this game outright after 9 innings, or even if there's an overtime or extra innings in this game. As I mentioned, the Phillies have been a much better team hitting on the road, and they've also been a top 5 teams in terms of home runs this season, and on the road as well. So they're pretty much respectable in all batting categories and just much better overall than the Tigers. So it would take a pretty good game for the Tigers in order to beat the Phillies, which is why I took them at plus 1.5 in the first 5 innings. But I do think that in the end, the Phillies should be able to pull out this win. So at plus 120, if you bet 1 unit, for example, say 1 unit is $100, you'll have 120% return on your investment, which is more than double, and that is great. But I would just advise you guys to have financial consciousness and overall betting awareness when deciding to whether or not to place your bet on this parlay. So this is the second parlay that I have at plus 125. So I took Aaron Nola to have more strikeouts than Casey Mize. And really, I'm just leaning towards the Phillies to have a much better batting day than Detroit. As I mentioned, Detroit's a bottom 10 team at home in hitting and runs this season, and Aaron Nola has a much higher K percentage, almost 7.5% higher than Casey Mize. So I think that he should be able to get more strikeouts and in turn play more innings than Casey Mize, which will lead to a higher chance of him getting more strikeouts overall in the game. I also have Aaron Nola to have fewer home runs given up than Casey Mize. As I mentioned, the Phillies are top 5 teams in terms of home runs, and really the Phillies' bats are just much better than Detroit's, and I think that Aaron Nola should be able to have good control over his pitches and not give up any home runs in this game, or even if he gives up 1 or 2 home runs, I think that the Phillies should be able to match that. I also have the Phillies, as mentioned before, at plus 2.5 in the first 5 innings, and at plus 2.5 in the run line for the overall game. So essentially not to lose the first 5 innings by more than 3 runs and to not lose the game by more than 3 runs. And I also took them to have over 3 runs in the game. I do think that they have a much higher chance of scoring this game, and whether that comes from their bats doing well or just errors from Detroit, I think that the Phillies should be able to score over 3 runs in this game. And I do think that the total will go over 4 runs. And that can happen a number of ways, whether that's Philly putting up 5 runs, for example, or Philly putting up 3 and then Detroit putting up 2 in the later innings. Either way, I think that this game definitely leans towards the Phillies to get a win, and I think it should be a good game overall to watch. But at plus 125, similar to the last parlay, if you bet 1 unit, you'll get 125% return on your investment, which is a little bit more than double, and that is great. But I would just advise you guys to have financial consciousness, and as always, just understanding your bankroll and understanding how much you're putting into each parlay before deciding to place the bet. But I appreciate you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more MLB videos and WNBA videos coming out later this week. And until then, peace out.